everybody. Welcome to the 5-8. Hey, LB, how you doing?
Hey, how are you doing?
I was going to do a bit where I put on like 6 shirts and then take them off as the show went on to simulate Bannon in prison.
Yeah,
But it's just too hot. So sorry,
with an
guys.
orange jumpsuit underneath. Yeah, by
Yeah,
the time you get to the
that would have
bottom
been
layer.
funny. What's a fun, what the best 3 words are in the English language?
Oh, what are they?
Mandatory prison sentence. That's it. That's the greatest thing. That's the greatest thing.
I'm into it. Fifth, could have just pled the fifth. Could have just shown up and pled the fifth.
He can't shut the fuck up, though, can he? He can't.
Yeah,
He can't
I
do
think
it.
that's a real story there. He knew he wouldn't be able to make it. What are you drinking tonight, Greg Oliar?
What I did is I went to McDonald's and I got seltzer and ice, and then I squeezed lemon in the lemon juicer and put that in there with vodka. So that's what I'm drinking.
That sounds like elixir. I'm actually having a beverage tonight, an alcoholic
What are you having?
beverage tonight.
Good.
Just
Okay.
barely of the vodka, the potato vodka. That's all I can do. But yellow watermelon. Sorry about the straw, everybody. I know I'm shameful. Yellow watermelon, splash of organic pomegranate juice, and fresh blueberries.
That sounds delicious. Wait, why is a straw shameful?
A straw, because it's not a paper straw. It's not.
How do we know you're not recycling it for future use?
Well, because I don't.
I don't know about this paper straw.
I do cut it up. I do.
I have a metal straw here, but I'm not using it.
That's what I need. Anyway, whatever.
What can we do? It's about Did you see this John Cleese thing, by the way? No, because he was in an interview talking about how like woke stuff is having a terrible effect on comedy. Even though he didn't use the word woke. All the headlines use the word woke. Okay. And I'm like, dude, Ministry of Silly Wokes is right there. It's right there, John Cleese. Come on.
Come on.
Think, man.
You know what? He needs to expand his writer's room.
It's not particularly woke, is it? Come on. It's right there. It's right there. That's all I'm saying.
Or the Department of Woke Department. Of Woke Department.
Yeah, woke. Something.
Listen. It's up to I think it is up to the writers to solve all problems in comedy and in politics.
I guess so.
Because Greg Oliar, have you noticed that weeks and weeks and weeks after you and I said before the first hearing that this was going to be like a TV show, and it was a good idea that a showrunner, even a documentary producer, was brought in to help, and that we're going to have these characters and you guys are going to see a plot develop, that this is the way it has to be done now. And thank God the committee's doing it. And now, what do you know? Everyone has latched on to the fact that this was actually the first season of a big television series.
I think they got renewed.
And last night
they got renewed for
finale.
season 2.
I think
that was the big takeaway. See you in September, Liz Cheney said.
Yeah.
Was it really last night? I feel like it was like 6 days ago.
I know.
Yeah.
It was a lot to take in, even for us who've been on top of the whole thing. It was a lot. So I thought we'd just jump right into it. What do you say?
I think we should jump. I think we should jump right into it.
All right, set up this first segment for everybody, because I kind of did, but you can take it home a little bit in terms of what we're going to walk you through.
Okay. Well, again, we're looking at this like it's a TV show because, first of all, we're all in the simulation and we're watching a TV show. Not only that, and we haven't talked about this, but every time I turn the thing on, I just see them all as SNL characters. Like Pottinger and Sarah Matthews. I'm like, oh yeah, that's an SNL character. Heidi Gardner will play her. Like I'm already the wall between SNL and reality has already, been blown apart. Possibly when
very
Elon Musk
rich
went on
content.
SNL. And
it's extremely rich content. So you can't help but go there.
Yeah, and you and I have already joked that we're in the simulation, and this is very much like something that would be in Slacker, in the Richard Linklater movie from like 1990. Like the TV and the reality TV becomes reality, all that kind of stuff. But here we are, we're watching this as a show, and we're making light of it in a way. And this is obviously super serious stuff. Like it can't be more serious than kind of, overthrowing the government and sending us all into a lifetime of Trump-ruled fascism would be really, awful.
Yeah.
But yet we have to look at it as a TV show because for it to be effective, for the message of this to get through to the American people, it needs to be a TV show, because that's the only way people can process. We have
That's
been
the only way we can
trained
process
to
storytelling.
process stories in these segments, which is 8 episodes of an hour
That's
or
right.
whatever each. And this one was a little longer. It's like the Stranger Things finale. It was a little long, but that's
It's a little
fine
long. It's
because it
okay.
paid off, stuck
So
the
let's
ending.
break it paid off, and let's and
Unlike
it's
that finale, it stuck the ending.
you're not supposed to say that because people are so excited about that, but you and I were the only ones who were like, "This is just a turd." Okay, so but for the January 6th series, right, the committee hearing with our 2 leads, let's break down what was so successful about this season
Okay.
finale, okay?
Okay.
So let's do a little we'll do a little workshopping, and then let's let everybody know, and we'll towards the end of this, we're gonna take you guys to what we can see coming.
Yep.
Okay? So this is what the general notes that I have are that they really did advance the plot. So the plot of this series is, or at least this season is, Donald Trump is the villain, right? This is all done for him, by him, of him. You cannot separate him from this. And as much as all this noise and everything was around, they just sort of sliced through it all by using his own people to take him down, his own actions to take him down, his own words and tweets to take him down. It's sort of an inescapable. It was all like, we're going to set the trap for the bad guy, right? That's the first series. So I thought they really advanced that plot. Um, and uh, this idea that's integral to that is to keep expressing the reality that he created a horde. He came out from the very beginning of his presidency, of his campaign, and started radicalizing people, right? Just mind melding with them. And you can't do that and then as a cult leader and then escape responsibility for what your cult does in your name at your direction. So I thought that was really great character framing of the culpability of this is what we've seen you do. So now we have journalists and we have staffers who all along the way, some of them testifying, others going, taking to the airwaves afterwards and saying, yeah, this is what he did in his campaign trail. This is what he did at every rally. There's no doubt that this man commands his horde.
Yep.
They're not doing anything without thinking. They're doing it for him and at his instruction. They're not winging it. So he could try to separate himself from his own horde, but it's his Frankenstein. He created it. He's stuck with it. This is your monster, dude. Okay? So I thought that was it. And then that's my general note. Did you have a general note?
Well, piggybacking on what you just said, I thought one of the most interesting moments of last night was when Sarah Matthews said, I went to all these rallies. I knew that he
Yeah.
controlled them.
Yeah.
Like, and she wasn't, I don't think she's capable of joking around. She seemed pretty
No.
serious to me.
He's
So
very Republican that way.
yeah.
Very artless.
Yeah. But very compelling witness. And I thought that was a that was a key takeaway from the entire night. That thing that she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I did too. And then we had, of course, you gotta
Oh,
have a surprise twist.
wait, the general note.
Yeah.
You asked if I had a general note. I do
Yeah.
have a general note.
Yeah.
I thought that the decision to isolate Benny Thompson that the writers' room came up with was
Yes.
highly effective.
Oh, what a
Oh my
device.
God.
What a genius
Genius.
device that was.
It was
Yeah.
like if you watch, sometimes they'll do an episode of West Wing where they'll be like, oh, we're stuck in the elevator and it's a
Yeah.
lockdown and everybody's just where they are for that episode. And you could tell Aaron Sorkin just got bored and he was trying to like give himself whatever. It was like, it felt like that watching it, like he's not here
Right.
and Liz Cheney is now front and center.
The women are taking the ball, right?
Yeah.
And so she made that a real
Subtle.
focus.
Yep.
So that is actually one of the other notes I have is we did have some setup. So, and the way that you write, if you're really writing well, you're setting stuff up that the audience doesn't notice is a setup, and it's going to pay off when they least expect it. And that's a really satisfying series. And this, I felt like we got a setup here, and I'm very interested to see how this is going to pay off. With Liz Cheney now, second hearing in a row and really hitting it hard this time, it's the women. It's the women that have come forward. It's the women. So she's either very into Cassidy Hutchinson or she's sending a message to a target. There's some woman out there in MAGA land that they, I don't know, who could it be? Is it Karen Pence? Who is it that could come in and actually bring clarity and bring, it
The
just feels like
best
she's
is yet
whispering.
to
The
come.
best is yet to come. She's whispering to someone or something is my sense and my takeaway from that. Then we had, so that's all like planting seeds. You have to do that for effective season finale so that okay, stuff's coming. And then we had the surprise twist. You want something unexpected. What was unexpected, Greg? What was
Oh
unexpected?
my God. Oh, Josh Hawley. Oh, dear Lord. I I have not recovered from seeing that. I'm embarrassed how much I enjoyed that.
I
It's
have
embarrassing.
watched it on a
I
loop.
got so much enjoyment from seeing that,
Yeah.
and we talked about this, offline, but it had not occurred to me that the J6 committee would in and of itself shiv somebody the way that they just, I mean, that might have ended his political career. Like, I know he's in Tampa, like, I'm not gonna run from anything. And it's like, dude, we
It's
all watched
so
the video, man.
it's
And even
embarrassing.
even the act of putting your name in the ring for an office is called running. I mean, he can't escape even the fucking word.
Oh,
It's just, it's like they were just, oh, you
it
want
was a thing of
something?
beauty. It was a thing of beauty.
Ah,
Come on.
and it was
It
like
was fantastic.
60 seconds long, and
Yeah.
it ended him.
It ended him.
Fucking
Or
ended
he'll
him. It
probably
should
keep
end him.
coming back, and it also could be a setup. We could have yet to learn in September some more about Josh Hawley.
Ooh, what could
So, this
possibly,
is
what
yet
could Josh
another thing.
Hawley
Yeah.
possibly be hiding
Oh,
from us?
alright, we're out of time, but hang on. I do wanna give a shout out to, because we wanted to talk about the framing of the secondary characters, but we can do that
We
later.
can say that later, yeah.
Yeah, but the extra game, right? So, it's before January 6th the series that we just got this great we just got the 1st season, and it was so great. Before this TV show, there was a TV show that was very famous for its use of extras, very sexy, eye candy extras, right? That just to keep you looking at the screen no matter what they're going on, and Entourage, right? So,
I
that's
love
sort of
that show.
fallen apart with its writing, and, they had to have, like, Ari in every scene because he was giving the whole thing energy, right? So, it's like Ari in the bathtub and Ari in the whatever.
It
But
was
what they
that
also
whole show
did,
was perfect.
it wasn't that perfect, but what they did so beautifully was they just peppered the frame with these gorgeous extras that was sort of giving you that vibe, right? That whole thing. And, oh my god, that Clark Kent superhero, um, stand-in, that extra, that was so well done. Right there behind both of the witnesses. I was very into the placement of the individuals behind the supporting characters, as extras. I just think it was a stroke of genius there. So, and all of Twitter now is only talking about this guy. So now people are tuning in.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of that. They're excited. It's becoming a pop culture thing on top of it being the most important consequential congressional hearings we'll ever have in the history of this nation. Like on top of that, um, we have all of the candy. So
It's
I'm
a
very
it's a
proud of him.
thirst trap. Is
It's a
that what it's called?
thirst trap. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
I
love
don't
it.
know. I don't even know what those words mean, but I think
I
that
love that
guy,
you did
yeah,
that.
it's nice to have the eye candy. We have to have that. We
Yes.
have to see it. It's good.
Yes. And
Mhm.
it's nice to have the moments of levity, right? You need that in a great, like, right at the moment of hypertension, we're laughing at John Hawley or we're looking at the eye candy. So I thought that was really well balanced because back to our second segment, the real thing that this whole season finale was about was the unbridled how did he call it? What did he call it? The unbridled destructive energy.
Mm.
Penny Thompson set it up of
Yep.
Donald Trump. I've never heard such a clear description of that man and what it must be like to just be around him and what he does. He just sort of destroys everything while he's consuming it. It's just this unbridled is the perfect word. So this is to me far and exceeds the ETTD that everybody was into. It's now we got into a description of him of the why. Why does everything get destroyed about him? Right? Is because he's got that energy that he's just one of those people. I mean, those guys were fucking exhausted after a regular 9 to 4 day. In fact, they didn't even show up really to work. I mean, they had the little speech at 1 o'clock, but they were in the White House. It was only 3 hours that they were in there with him, having to contain or get through to this man and deal with this crisis. And you had all of these professional administrators that love him enough to have been hanging on to the very end, right? They're all in there to the very end. They're all in on Trump. They want that second thing. They love being around him. And he wore them out simply by sitting and watching television. That's how chaotic and oppressive and dominating and abusive that man's energy is. It's just and they couldn't even they didn't even know. No one knew what the end of the day was when they finally got him to say the thing on camera, and then none of them remembered what happened after that because they were exhausted. And I'm not trying to feel sorry for them, and of course, the Capitol Police, good luck to them, right? You can't compare. I'm not comparing it. I'm just saying this is what these people are showing up for, day in and day out. Who does that? What kind of masochist shows up like that for a job? And we didn't even know their names until they're all under investigation.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not even doing it for fame or anything. You're doing it for what? For what? And now the only reason we know or remember you is because you're going down in infamy. You're
Yeah.
going down in infamy, and not in a good way. So I just like this beast. What a beast. I'm sorry. We have to keep casting him that way. It's
Be
total
beast. Be beast.
the beast.
Yeah.
It's total this is beyond the sociopaths that I've studied that are mob bosses. This is because he's a toddler on top of it all. And it's just and a moron. And on top of being so shrewdly into his own survival at all cost. What a human being. Ugh.
Can you imagine,
That's
like,
my ugh.
that was a great rant.
Yeah.
The other thing that was interesting about there were many interesting things, but watching how they show the floor plan of the White House, and you see this dining room that looks like a fucking conference room at a goddamn Marriott. Okay, there's nothing. It's charmless. It's awful. It's generic, and he's sitting there in that straight back chair for 4 fucking hours at this big empty table. I guess he and Putin have a thing for tables, or is it
Eating his
furniture?
McDonald's, no doubt.
Is it a sexual fantasy thing that he just likes tables? But there's nothing like aesthetically pleasing in that shot. It was actually abhorrent to me, just aesthetically. Like
Mhm.
I had a response of, ugh, you're sitting in this ugly room, wearing your ugly suit with your
Yeah.
ugly face, watching the Fox News all day, and all these idiots are coming in there to try to get you to basically sign a piece of paper that they can maybe make the violence
Just
stop.
send
And
a tweet. Send a
send a
tweet.
tweet,
How
and
about pick up the phone and do your
he
job?
did nothing. He did
He
nothing,
didn't even
which and also, by
he
the
was
way,
calling people. I think he was calling some of those senators that are gonna get shivved in season 2, but
I think
yeah,
most days that he was in the White House were spent doing this. I don't think this was an abnormal day for Donald Trump. I think
right.
sitting on his ass in the dining room watching fucking Fox News for hours was actually a lot of his time.
A lot of his presidency was that or getting us to pay for him to go to his golf courses. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what he
That's
did.
it. That's MAGA. This is your king, MAGA.
MAGA, ultra MAGA. That's ultra MAGA. The
Ultra
dining room
MAGA.
table is
Oh, this is
ultra
your
MAGA.
guy. So excited.
Yeah. Okay, and then we got a little statement from Melania today, if anybody missed it, that, her statement on the siege, while the siege was going on, she wasn't aware of it because she was taking photographs of a rug in the White House. So, that's the first lady for you. All class, that one.
She's a horribly boring person, but yeah,
I know.
she is devoid of let's put it this way, they're a very good couple. They
They're a
really
very
are.
good couple. They just the
Yeah.
vapid, it's just empty, hollow people.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I promised everyone on Twitter I would say something
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
about the Godfather reference. So, Junior has that wrong. Someone did get it right. I pinged them. going to the mattresses does not mean you're going all in. It's a reference to when one mafia family goes to war against another mafia family. It dates back to the Castellameres War, which sort of launched the organized crime syndicate that we all came to know through the movies or whatever about 100 years ago. So they would take mattresses and put them all in the floor, get some old warehouse, put mattresses on the floor. They'd have their cooker so they could make their gravy and do their cooking there. But they would hide out while they're planning a hit. So it was always about a hit. It was always about killing somebody, like what Donald did to Pence. It was planning that. And so imagine everything that leads up to January 6th. The mattresses, going to the mattresses in reference to January 6th and Donald Trump would have been all the planning that they did ahead of time and then to get through the day of the event. And then you stay back and you go back into the hideout and you stay there for a couple of weeks because you know your enemy doesn't know where you are. You don't go home because you don't want them to come to your home and shoot up your family. So this was just how wars were done in the underworld way back when. That's what The Godfather was referencing because that book was very well written when it came to paying tribute to the real world and the nuances of the real world that it was a study of. So Junior didn't, I mean, he just fucked that up too. You know, he probably knows this. He just, whatever. He's like, I can't take these people. I've had enough. And then I just can't. There it is. It's
I was
over.
just about to ask you, did you start the clock? And
I
there
did,
it
I
goes.
did, I did. And we had the, I did wanna ask a question, though, and we'll ask this to the audience, just put this out there before we wrap this up. And this might be a season 2 thing too, but Lawrence Tribe seemed to be indicating today that if the Department of Justice brought Cipollone before a grand jury, that he would be compelled to actually that executive privilege would not work there in front of a grand jury. I don't know, but if the Justice Department isn't doing that, then I don't know. They need to do that. So maybe we put a lot of pressure out there for that.
Okay.
If it's real. I'm not a lawyer. Who knows?
I mean, Lawrence Tribe knows more than we do. Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, he is responsible, I think, for teaching Dershowitz. So
Well, he taught a lot of people. He taught Schiff. I think he taught Merrick Garland. I think he
yeah,
taught all of these people. I think they
I
all
know.
took
You
his
better listen to the professor. Okay.
Yeah. You know,
All
all the
right.
Harvard people anyway. Oh, is it time? Wait, are we doing
We
it?
might have a karaoke. Guys, we are gonna get back to doing ads as well, but we've kind of set a bar for ourselves. So our ads are gonna be we're gonna keep I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe we'll fall apart.
Yeah.
But we do have a karaoke tonight,
I
thanks to
wanted
Greg
my wife
Olear.
to do this, but she was unable to sing, so I'm going to
Yeah.
apologize in advance for my warbling.
I think it was fantastic. All right, here we go, everybody. Get ready to sing. Warm up.
Yesterday is a word that Donald cannot say. Is it because he didn't get his way? Or why can't Trump say yesterday? Suddenly, it's a seditious conspiracy, overthrowing our democracy. Oh, yesterday's a felony. Oh, he has to go, but we know he'd rather stay. Treason is a crime. He'll do time for yesterday. Oh, yesterday. Giuliani said he'd win the play, but Rudy's phones were taken by Chris Ray. That's why Trump can't face yesterday.
Yay!
All right.
Kicking us into the weekend with some good karaoke.
All
All right, you want to introduce our great guest here?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Look, this is a show about the January 6th committee hearing, and who better to have on than someone who was on the ground on January 6th. She has a film coming out called True Believers at the Insurrection, and she's our friend, and we're happy to have her on. Sandy Bachom, how you doing?
Everybody.
Bachom!
Were you playing? Was that you playing?
That was me playing. Yeah.
Oh, great. We have to have a hoot nanny some Friday.
Oh, we gotta.
Play.
I can play chords with people singing for hours.
Oh, it was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're doing it.
It's
Cool.
fun.
So everybody, I know that our whole audience knows, but hopefully we're expanding our audience. So everyone can know Sandi Bachom is a filmmaker.
Hi,
She's a
Sandy.
photojournalist. She's a former ad executive.
Everybody saying hi to me.
Everyone say hi. Okay.
Hi back, everybody.
It makes herself known in Trump world in terms of making sure she's there for trials and hearings and big events, rallies, as well as really focusing on the extremist beat as well, Sandy, and following all those crazy people all over, including up to Canada recently. So,
that was unbelievable. The truckers.
The truckers, unbelievable.
God.
So you have a film that you've done. We wanted to bring you on because, here this whole hearing was about the 187 minutes of Trump doing nothing, right? Of the missing minutes in the call log, missing everything. But you had done all this incredible work for the past year of piecing together stuff from the news with your own footage and putting a time clock on the actual insurrection from beginning to end of what was going down. And then what we found out from the press of we actually now know that this is when Donald sent this tweet. And this is when maybe he was getting information about or an oath keeper. He wasn't, but someone else, like Bannon was talking to him, whatever it was. So Sandy's done this incredible film. You're putting it into some festivals. Tell us a little bit about that.
I shot for the past 6 years. I shoot other things too. I'm a breaking news photographer, a video journalist in New York, but I'm ever since Charlottesville, I've become fascinated with the right-wing extremism. And there's a group of journalists that we have this little chat room and we go, oh, such and such is happening. Patriot Front is going to be here and the Proud Boys are going to be here. And we try and meet. And it's good because it's usually dangerous situations if they go like what happened on January 6th and we all kind of protect each other, and we do, what do you call that? That app that you keep in contact with each other.
Track each other.
Well, but January 6th, we lost all contact with each other because there was no cell phones. There were 30,000 people there using their cell phones. And that's why so many use encrypted apps, because there was just no way to communicate. And I wound up separated and alone on the west side of the the west side of the Capitol, which was the front, the classic view of the dome and stuff, And what I realized that I have all this footage since Charlottesville, in Charlottesville, afterwards, and been following Trump since 2016, since before the election, because we didn't think it was going to make it, right? So one of my favorite pieces of, it's not in my film, but in the larger film, because this is 20 minutes, a chapter of the 2 months after Trump lost. Yeah, it was the 2 months after he lost is where my film picks up. But on October 8th, 2016, the October surprise was the Access Hollywood tapes. So I went up to Trump Tower assuming it was over and I was going to interview people and it's going to be over and we'll get on with whoever's going to be president. And it was a circus. And I asked this one woman, I said, so what do you think about the tapes? And she said, give me a break. All men love pussy. And that was it. That's what I knew, that he was going to win.
He's going to win.
And that was his. And then when people tell me over the years, when I go to rallies and I just hate him so much. The only way I can talk to them is I tell them, I hate him. I think he belongs in jail. I want to know why you like him. Why do you love him? And then immediately they open up, because that's all they want to do is talk about him. And one woman said, I'd take a bullet for Trump. And, he speaks my language. He says what I'm thinking. Of course. And he just tapped into this group of people that nobody ever paid any attention to. What was the word you used?
Unbelonging. I think it was your word.
It's your word.
the unbelonging. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you said it's not the mob. It's the the horde.
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 Yeah, the
Yeah.
horde. And they go to these rallies, and he gives them the hats. And
Yeah.
there's a line in my film that said that he inoculates them against the truth with flags and hats. He wears the same suit every day. That suit,
Mhm.
after a while you go, doesn't he own another suit? That's not the point. That is his
His avatar. Yeah.
avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's always consistent daddy for them.
Yeah.
And
And he is. Yeah.
nothing challenges them around all of what his identity is. It's very simple.
Yeah.
This is your abusive father, and you'll do what I say and
And he
love me.
lowers, he speaks to their
Mhm.
level, whatever that is. He's like the lowest common denominator of racism and hatred of the other
Yeah.
and fear that the other, the Antifa. Look, there is no Antifa. I'm Antifa. I'm an anti-fascist. My dad was an anti-fascist. The Nazis shot down my uncle. He was Antifa.
So it wasn't a surprise to you at all that Donald Trump on January 6th had the power to just send out a tweet and have everyone go home, or put a
that
little
was-
video out and have people, or send a tweet and have them go and commit homicide in his name.
Yeah, the thing that really fascinated me last night was the real time interpretation, the wrong word, of his tweets when he said whatever he said to them in the tweet, and they go, yeah, but he didn't say anything about hurting Congress. So they were
Yeah.
actually in real time. They were communicating. He was communicating with them in real time.
That's right.
I mean,
And then
that
where
was
they might
fascinating.
not know what was happening, you had the guys on the bullhorns. I love that you got those bullhorn guys, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw some of your footage last night. Was that some of your footage with the
No, they
bullhorn?
used my footage in a couple of I shot at 4:23 in the afternoon when they were still urging them to fight, by the way. So this
Yeah.
whole 224 tweet, so this guy comes out, and it's like people are streaming out of the building. There's tear gas in there. They're trying to clear them out. Now I'm up to in the middle of the barrack scaffolding where the inauguration is supposed to take place in a couple of weeks, and surrounded by thousands of people, and they're still going, fight for Trump. And January 6th is a new 1776.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this guy says, with a bullhorn, he says, now I don't know they've broken inside. I don't know any of this because there was no communication. I just see smoke, puffs of smoke coming out of the building. And he said, I have a message from the president. And then he reads the 224 tweet, which I wasn't aware of at the time. And he said, Mike Pence didn't have the courage. Now, he said that at the ellipse. It was pretty much the ellipse speech. Was it Mike?
Yeah.
I hope, but it was in the past tense because
Right.
he said, I hope Mike Pence has the courage.
At the ellipse, he was
At the
hoping
ellipse.
for an outcome. We're going to go march there, and we hope he does what I've told him to
Right,
do and what we
right.
expect him to do.
And
And then
I'll
they
be
got the
very
tweet saying,
disappointed if
"He
he
didn't do
doesn't.
it."
He's not going to be my friend anymore. It's so infantile. He's
Yeah.
not going to be my friend anymore if he
Yeah.
doesn't do this, right?
Well, that's mob speak for you're out of the circle of trust. You're
Circle-
out.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do this, watch your back.
So then that tweet was, wait, hold on a second. Wait, hold on. Family's coming home here. Okay, guys, I'm on TV. Okay.
Oh, I think you're a dog.
Did you see this, Sandy? Sandifa. There you go.
Oh, I love it! A
Yeah.
T-shirt. I did a T-shirt.
Yeah,
Extra large.
That's good.
Sandy looked like Annie Hall. I don't even have my hat on.
I think that there's a social element to these guys too. I mean, this thing is like a Grateful Dead show, but for racist, stupid assholes.
You said that. Well, last show I was on with you, you said the most interesting thing about the hats. Do you remember what you said about the sports teams?
Oh yeah. Well, refresh my memory.
Yeah, you said the most because it's like it's the hats. Now I got a cat that needs to get out.
It's similar to a sports team where they
get it's a tail, and they describe the rallies as a tailgate party, right?
Yeah. Yankees fans hate the Red Sox fans.
Exactly, right?
Their emotion.
Yeah.
They get to go through all of their emotions. They get to go through all the stuff they love. They feel,
Yeah.
you know, they're getting all this
The
reinforcement, all this,
tribalism, you know, it's
yeah,
a
it's going into their brains and satisfying
yeah.
them on that and that
Right, and
primal level.
there was a seat, but their hats weren't always there. I was watching a documentary about his rise, and in the beginning, he would have these rallies, but there were no hats. And then I don't know whose idea the hats were, but all of a sudden, the next time you'd see them, there would be this sea of red hats, right? And
Merch, gotta have the
I was
merch.
gonna say,
the
it makes
merch,
him money and serves the
Makes them
purpose. It's
money,
like a
serves the purpose.
win-win.
yeah.
Well, let's get to Chris Miller, to what you were.
Mm.
So one of the things, Sandy, that you have been since January 6th, really hitting hard about is the calling of the National Guard, or the lack of calling of the National Guard. And you've literally put together the whole timeline before anybody, I think. New York Times tried to kind of do it, but yours was specifically also with that focus of where the fuck is the National Guard? Like, was watching the time ticking away. So, I mean, what do you think about how the committee handled that? Did you expect more? What would you like
I
people
don't
to know?
know. I don't know. They have to know, because I've been in communication with them. They have to know that. I mean, I've been harping. Anybody who knows me on Twitter, they say, Sandy says to anybody who listens to them,
Yeah,
for the past year and a half, I'm just harping on this thing. Because what happened was, I'm a frontline journalist. I was in Charlottesville, where the National Guard wasn't called until the violence happened. So it was a similar situation. In Charlottesville, the cops also stood down. So that was, at the time, that was the biggest betrayal of, you know, police protecting a community, to that point, right? So this was just kind of like, take that, this on steroids, right? So in DC, so they called it. So what happened in Charlottesville is there was the violence, and then I can't remember whether it happened just before or after, but they evacuated the park, Lee Park, and they were all armed, because Virginia is an open carry state. So they were all armed, as they were at the Capitol, and they had to get them out of the park, because it was I forget what they declared, but all the Nazis like filed out, and I filmed James Fields going by chanting "Jews will not replace us" and stuff. But so they didn't come till after somebody had died. The National Guard didn't. Again, the National Guard didn't show up after somebody died. So in Washington D.C., my birthplace, I was born there during World War II. Born there in 1944, and apparently, when I did my research, when I got back, because the National Guard should have been called at 12:53 when the Capitol grounds were breached. At the
right.
first barricade breach, the Proud Boys and others, they led them, I believe, broke through that barricade. I have 12:53. Some say 12:52. Like we're a minute off, right? And once they went through, then they were safe. And I think they knew they were going to be safe. So here's the chain of command with the National Guard in Washington is unusual, because it's not a state, it's a district. And the only people who can deploy the National Guard are the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense. Well, on November 9th, 2020, after Trump lost, 2 days after he lost, it was official, he fired Mark Esper, who was the
Right.
Secretary of Defense. And he puts this guy in, Chris Miller, who was a national security guy. I don't even know what he did. Right? A sycophant. That's what he did. He was a sycophant.
Some
And
schmo
Professional schmo.
he was a professional ass kisser.
with the
So,
worst signature ever of
oh,
any
he has
really
his
is
code.
bad.
child. Yeah, he wrote that memo on January 4th. He writes this weird memo that nobody talks about except on Twitter, of that people can't wear protective gear, and it's kind of effectively saying you have to leave these people alone, right? Whoever shows up.
Wow.
Well, during the Kavanaugh hearings, I was there when they breached they ran up to the
Supreme Court.
and they when it was like Marat Saad, they were banging on the door, and the cops just, immediately came in. The Capitol Police came in and arrested them, and there was such mass arrests. They were processing them on the
Yeah.
lawn. So the fact that they got that far was shocking to me. When I turned the corner and I saw thousands and thousands of people, and when I left, I was at the Ellipse first, and then it's like a 2-mile walk. It takes a long time to find, to get there. And there were already thousands of people there. He was still speaking when there were already people there. So this whole, well, let's go to the Capitol is bullshit, because they always knew that they
He
were.
was delaying. Like he was
Yeah.
putting in as many delays as possible.
He was
for
an
the
hour late. He was
hour
supposed to be at
late.
11. He was supposed to be on at 11.
Yeah, everything was about elongate. You got Rudy Giuliani then, once they did breach, calling the senators and the Congress people saying, stay in there, stay and fight. We know
Right.
that.
And the whole
Keep doing it.
purpose was 1:00 was when the votes were to be certified by
Right.
Mike Pence, right? And that's the peaceful transfer of power, right? And the whole Proud Boys being there, all of it was to stop, and they did stop the certification.
They
They
did.
They were
They
successful.
paused it. Yeah, they did. But it
So
still
which
happened
was
that
so
day.
close.
Everybody
So
came back.
right. So
But
what happened was, when I got home, and I said, "Where the fuck was the National Guard?" And I didn't see them until I left at 5:30.
yeah.
And the reason they got there was because there was a curfew that Mayor Bowser had called a curfew at 6:00, and they had to come for that, but they were not there earlier. So what I did is I went through all the available reporting, and this was a year and something ago, right after I got back.
Yeah.
So I took all the reporting from Wikipedia, Bill Moyers, CNN, Washington Post, and all of it, and I put it on an Excel spreadsheet. And then I put the times, and then I went to the times on my footage of where I was when these things were happening, right? And by my count, and also McFarlane, I just forgot his first name, the wonderful guy who's been following the arrests.
Scott. Yeah.
Scott McFarlane. He's a
Mhm.
fabulous guy. And he was the first person to give me the idea, because he said at that point there were 12 requests for the National Guard were denied. Well, I found 2 more when I did the
Wow.
research, but I started with his list on Twitter.
So who's requesting it? Capitol Police,
Everybody.
mayor,
Okay. The
Hello,
first
the
one,
governor of
the
Virginia. Yeah.
first one was
Or Maryland?
the head of the Capitol, Sund was the chief of the Capitol Police, and he goes to the sergeant at arms. See, this is all a chain of command. You can't just call in the guard. If in New York, the governor would call in the guard, or in a state, the governor calls in the National Guard. But there's a chain of command that's very specific, since Jefferson was president in the 18 whatever,
Right.
and
1800.
they knew that. They
Right.
knew that. So
They
at
knew.
12:58, which was 5 minutes after the first breach, Sund goes to the what do you call it? The sergeant at arms of the House, and I think they have 2
He's
sergeant at
passed
arms.
away now. Yeah.
Oh, he passed away?
I
Who
think he
did?
did. The sergeant of arms.
Oh shit! I think you're right. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Probably the stress of that day.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't. There was a nasty
I think he
thing
fell
to
down
say.
a stairway. Oh no,
Oh,
I'm
hold on,
trying
I
to
got
no,
the coffee
stop
that
it.
didn't spill. Oh
Stop.
my
My bad.
god. Oh my
Bad.
god.
You
He
guys
was
bad.
Epstein. Okay,
Okay, but
enough of this.
but
I'm
Not this
joking.
thing.
I'm joking.
Not nice,
Okay.
not nice. Okay.
But
So he calls it, this goes to the hard sergeant arm. The sergeant at arms he said, I'll send it up the chain of command.
yeah.
So I don't know where it went after that, but that was the first of 14, right? And then Mayor Bowser called 3 or 4 times. Sund called like 8 or 9
So
times.
now we know. Do we know from this committee hearing? We don't know whether anybody talked to Trump, but we do know, except
No,
everyone's saying we didn't talk to him.
they
So
didn't have
he
to.
didn't place calls,
No,
and
he
he
didn't.
wasn't taking any calls. So who called the National Guard?
Well, eventually, I think it was Mike Pence. At 4:08, there was a call. I mean, they all tried. Now I don't know who they call. They can't call the national. They can't. Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi couldn't call the National Guard. It's
No.
just the way it's. But they knew what's so evil. The evil scheme was that they knew this. The generals, the Proud Boys, and the Oath Keepers, and the Praetorians, and all that. They were just the foot soldiers. They were the street gang. The generals are the ones that created the 1776 returns
Yeah.
plan. And they gave that to the Proud Boys, right? And to the Oath Keepers. And they knew that the National Guard, they knew that they would get away with it.
They
because
could
the
get
National
away
Guard
with
would have
not
shut it
having
down.
the Guard come in.
They
Yeah.
would have shut it down and it would have been over. Plus, these bombs, 1240, those pipe bombs that Marjorie
Yes.
Taylor Greene put.
All right. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So
No,
we're
but
gonna.
I'm saying that it was all part of the. I don't think those bombs were ever supposed to go off because it would have stopped the whole thing. The whole thing wasn't to stop it; it was to let it happen.
Yeah, and to pull Capitol Police away onto other issues, possibly.
Right.
You know.
Well, they were
Okay.
busy, yeah.
I mean, look, Sandy, I couldn't be prouder of you. To know you.
Oh,
I just can't believe how you've gone in there and just put a camera on this guy, and we're just have been up to good trouble from day one,
thank you.
and delivering on every level. And we
Thank you,
just
pal.
we
Thank
love
you.
having you here
Mhm.
and telling us. And I really want to know your your thoughts on everything else that we're going to start hearing in September, because I think what you've been pinging on for a year and a half, and what your film comes out in your film, and what you just expressed here about this calling of the National Guard, and like what that being actually part of the plan to allow the violence to happen without resistance. I think they were caught off guard by the Capitol Police putting up a formidable resistance.
Yeah.
Um,
But
I
that call,
really feel like at the heart of it all, what we're going to learn that's really going to be the most disturbing is in
Yeah.
the failure to protect the Capitol as
dereliction.
part of. It's beyond dereliction, though. Dereliction to me feels like you just didn't do your duty. As you said, this took strategic planning.
Oh,
Yeah.
It
yeah.
took forethought. It took knowledge of the processes, and it took a plan around that knowledge of where the weaknesses are. So this was a battle plan. This
It
wasn't
took
just
19
being a
minutes,
derelict.
LB. It took 19 minutes to breach the seat of democracy. From the first window break at 211 from that Pizzola, that Proud Boy.
Yeah.
So the Oath Keepers on the east side, when they did their whatever that was stack going in, that was at 2:30, and I was in front, and I hear they're in, and everybody knew. They all knew what the plan was, the mob, and everybody screams, they're in, which means they were in the building, and then they were supposed to follow them in. That was the plan.
Yeah.
And then they got too much resistance from those blessed
That's what they
Capitol
trained
Police.
for. You heard a guy say, "This is what we train for."
Is what we trained for.
Not necessarily that was something so specific, but the Trump understood this horde. They knew they were armed. He knew that they would do whatever he asked them to do. He knew that if he put a target on Mike Pence back, they'd go find him and kill him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he did that, what did we hear?
That's
Cave his
shocking.
grave, cave
That's
his
so
grave.
shocking to
Yeah,
me. I mean, I'm still
yeah.
shocked by that. I think
It's
that you're
unreal.
right, though.
It's unreal. All right, will you stick around with us? We've got
I
2 more
will.
segments to get to. We
Yep.
always invite folks to
Nothing
stick
else to
around.
do, you know.
Oh, good. All right. Well,
Okay.
I don't have any friends anymore. This is my Twitter
I
thing.
find that hard to
My
believe. You've got a
170,000
lot of
Twitter
friends
hard
and
friends.
to
comments,
believe,
you know.
Sandy. All right,
I mean,
but
for sure.
take us into this next segment, which you have titled Opus Dei.
Opus Dei,
Yeah,
whatever. Oh,
Yeah.
Old McDonald. Okay.
McDonald.
It occurred to me watching the Sandy, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear.
And
Thank you.
you know, I think that the insight that you provide it's so valuable, and I echo what LB said about, like, I just can't believe you were there and did this. It's like,
I'm
Jesus, I mean,
78 in October.
yeah, I know.
Very good. You have to have a blowout.
You know,
What
I'm
He is
sometimes I'm like
young.
afraid to go to the airport. Like, it's, you know, I okay. So the next segment Trump is a mobbed up criminal asshole, and everybody who's around him either knows it and doesn't care, or is just too stupid to whatever, or is involved. I mean, it's one of the three buckets, right?
Yeah.
But there's a faction. Not everybody in Trump land is in the same bucket. Okay, it's not a Trump land is not a monolith. The Trump administration is not a monolith. There is a faction of people there who look at Trump the same way that the Russians look at Trump. Putin doesn't like Trump. No one likes Trump except for these morons. He's a mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging, asshole, artless dipshit. Could you imagine spending an afternoon with this guy? Could you
No, I'd be
imagine?
exhausted. I wouldn't remember anything else in my life. I would be so drained.
I love there was a lot of like
the life out
what's
of
his name?
everything.
Hirschman. There was a lot of love for that guy, and that's now over. After the
Yeah,
word
yeah,
drained,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
so
yeah,
drained.
yeah, yeah.
And he ended himself by saying
He
that.
did.
Yeah, that was also great. Okay,
Yeah.
so you know,
He's coming to
nobody
me.
likes Trump. Okay, he maybe dipshits do, but like normal, rational, fun, artistic, creative people
Oh God,
do not like this guy.
he's
Because he's a
kryptonite.
schmo. He's the extreme example of an if he didn't have money, he would be an incel, right?
1,000%.
Yeah. Most of the interactions that he has with women are transactional, whether it's somebody he's forcing himself upon or paying for, or using his leverage to have sex with, which he did with Stormy Daniels. That was a sad kind of thing. I felt bad for her because she consented, but it was because she thought he was going to put her on this stupid show.
Yeah.
And or it's one of his wives who are clearly, they're not a rat. I mean, why are they there? Okay, this is a sad, pathetic, awful guy. There's a faction of people in this government, in this administration, who are associated with the Catholic Information Center in DC. I don't want to say that they're in Opus Dei because everyone thinks of that stupid, fucking, horrible book and movie, The Da Vinci Code. One of the worst books I have ever read.
Tom Hanks.
As an artistic person, I felt physical pain reading it. You know how I write my things on Sunday and I'm like, I cry when I see beautiful things? I also have the feeling where I feel violated by bad artistic endeavors. The Da Vinci Code was literally, it caused me pain to read it. But I forced myself to.
Wow.
Anyway, Opus Dei makes you think of that albino, because it's an albino, he's bad. With chasing the guy around the Louvre, and it's just stupid. So I don't want to say these guys are in that, but they're definitely in this little clique of people that are influenced by the teachings of Father McCloskey at the Catholic Information Center in DC. This is a group that Leonard Leo, who picked all of the 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justices, except for Clarence Thomas, who's also a member of this little clique, is a member of. So in the Trump administration, here are people who are members of this little clique and in this group. I don't want to say they're in Opus Dei because I don't fucking know what that even means.
It's a weird it's a way of saying part of the path to power for them, as they've expressed it, or with who they're associated with, is through this sort of Christian order, right?
It's so fascist.
Radical Catholics.
Not
Christian. It's different. People tell me, "Oh, did you read The Family?" This is a different thing. It's different. Yeah. This is a
world domination
thing. It is a sect of Catholicism that, as a confirmed Catholic, lapsed, but a confirmed Catholic I find abhorrent, and most Catholics would find abhorrent.
But apparently you can't find this particular little niche unless you're a lawyer and you go into representing politicians or working with them. Wow. So it's weird because it's
is that the Federalist?
It's in the law.
Is that the Federalist, Leonard Leo? Is he?
Yeah, Federalist Society, Judicial
Bill Barr?
Crisis Network, the whole thing.
Oh, it's Bannon. No?
Yeah.
No, Bannon's Catholic, but he's not part of this group. Okay.
No. Oh,
so you have, in this faction, you have Bill Barr.
The Zealots.
Bill Barr. The Zealots.
Bill Barr.
Bill Barr, who was basically wrote this term paper that he knew Trump would read applying for the job of attorney general so he could swoop in and take power. Okay. Stayed there until the last possible minute that he thought he might be able to go to jail and then left. Okay. You have Patsy Baloney.
Patsy Baloney.
Right. 10 kids.
We would, the Italians would call him Cipollone. We wouldn't say the
totally, yeah.
We'd say Cipollone.
Yeah.
And he's one of these people. Okay. He's a key member of these people. And I thought it was very telling in the hearing when he said, I thought about resigning, or he said, did I think about it? Yes. Did I do it? No. Because he said, I felt that if I left, who would replace me? And this was echoed by Eugene Scalia, another member of this group, who I forgot. This is Antonin Scalia's kid. Okay.
Yeah.
Who I forgot existed, frankly. And I think he's the one that got Ginny Thomas to, anyway. So he's the Secretary of Labor. He writes this thing saying, we have to stick around because, we're the normal ones. We're the moderates.
Team normal.
The Opus Dei, or the moderates. Okay. So,
oh my God.
You have Scalia. You have Ken Cuccinelli. I forget who was Homeland Secretary at this time. Ken Cuccinelli was Homeland.
I don't know. Ginny Thomas.
Homeland Secretary. But these are cabinet people. Okay.
Yeah.
Barr, Scalia, Cuccinelli. You have Patsy Baloney and Don McGahn and Mick Mulvaney. All of these people are in this group with Clarence Thomas and the justices, and of course Ginny Thomas, who's part of this thing. I feel like probably even they roll their eyes at Ginny a little bit, and they're like, "Oh God."
Yeah. Somebody wrote
I feel like she's a joke with him, but they know that she can pull the levers of the court. Yeah. She's got John Roberts in her purse.
She's got power. And I bring this up because not to be conspiratorial, but to like one of the flaws in conspiracy theory thinking is that everything is a monolith. That, oh my God, this person met this person on the tarmac for 5 minutes, and that means that it doesn't. Just because someone has their picture, if a politician takes a picture with somebody, that doesn't mean anything. Because they take their picture with everybody. That doesn't mean anything in and of itself. But there are factions. There are definitely factions within this government. And it's like a teen movie. It's like a high school movie. There are groups, and these guys are like one of the groups. And there's other people that, they're going to bring Donald into their group.
They conspire.
But they're going to use him because he has the swimming pool.
Can I just say?
And the swimming pool is the fucking federal government. Okay.
They conspire sometimes with each other, but definitely
Nixon I was raised a Christian Scientist, the alien abduction of religions. And my mother was a huge Nixon supporter, and she was a member of the John Birch Society.
Yes.
And Nixon had Christian Scientists in his cabinet. It's the same thing. These extreme religious factions get, and then they hired more of their. So Nixon was doing it too.
It's the zealot. It's the zealot front. It's almost like an imminent front. Right? It's because you don't know, there are actors in there who are literally acting, and I don't think it's about faith, it's about power. And then there's some that it is about faith, and they're just all crazy in the head, but or in terms of their belief set. But it's interesting you bring up John Birch, because you can trace the Federalist Society and a lot of these characters back to John Birch with some key actors. So it has been around for a long time. I have in my organized crime research so many John Birch members.
Really?
So many John Birch members, right? Connected in there. So it's a very strange world. It's definitely this front layer where the tentacles reach down into the underworld. They're fed by it in some way, shape, or form. I wouldn't even zero off the possibility that this is an influence op to a certain degree. And then there's what they present for us to see, which is the basically pro-life. Here's my big cross and on my neck, and I'm a righteous person. Like, it's like they let us see that, but we're not seeing where their money comes from and where their semantics come from.
Why did they do that? why did Clarence Thomas, the sleeper cell, the Christo-fascist sleeper cell, all of a sudden, who didn't say a word for 20 years,
We didn't talk
not
for so
one
long.
fucking opinion in 20 years, and all of a
I can
sudden,
answer. Wait, I can answer that question.
tell me,
I
yes,
can answer
what?
the question. I am told, I'm not going to say who told me, but I will say it's a fairly reliable source, that he's from a place where his accent is very pronounced and he's embarrassed of it.
Oh, how
And that's why
interesting.
he doesn't talk a lot. It's
Okay.
that simple.
No.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
But
And
where
this
did
is
he come with this opinion? How did I mean, abortion was illegal when I was a girl. I mean, it's just, and that was before Twitter. It's like it's, I don't know if it's better or worse now because now these stories are being told about 10-year-old rape victims and stuff. I
Yeah.
don't. Is that good or bad?
Well, it's gonna have to be told, or no one's gonna do
Yeah.
anything about it because they don't feel like it's affecting them, and we're a very
Right.
selfish nation, you
Like
know?
smoking. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we gotta move on to our last topic because we are at
wait, before we have the last
wait.
topic, we have to do announcements.
Oh, announcements.
Okay.
Did you
I
hear that
forgot.
Steve Bannon went to prison? Or no, he might.
No, he didn't. No.
Steve Bannon
October.
got guilty verdict.
October.
Mandatory prison sentence.
30
Mandatory.
days, at least
I don't know what
30
the
days.
word mandatory
And
means.
he'll
I'm pretty
use
sure
it
it means
as
his
his,
ass going to jail.
now
I think
he'll
that's what
use
it
it to
means.
make a fortune on War Room, you know.
Sure.
Whatever.
That's all right. That's
You know
whatever.
what? You know what? I would not want to go to jail. I wouldn't. I'm
I've been
sorry.
to jail.
There's a lot of
in
issues
the
with that
tombs.
I would not enjoy. And
I don't know.
I'm going to relish the idea of Steve Bannon being there.
Even
I would like to
Otisville,
say to
where they
Steve
go.
Bannon,
Otisville.
fuck you. And fuck you. I hope they're really mean to you in prison. I hope everyone there thinks you're an asshole and treats you badly. That's what I hope for you, Steve Bannon.
That's our
Announcements.
Anything else? What else do we
Yes,
have?
I forgot. I'm a terrible host. I thought to myself, I have to give props to Chunk for that intro. It was so fantastic. This guy is like doing this stuff. I mean, this hearing didn't happen that long ago. He has Trump sitting in front of the TV watching the different. I mean, it's genius. All glory and honor to Chunk. Thank
All
you so
glory and honor
much
to Chunk.
for
Yeah. Making
the
viewing work
Twitter
come up out
handle
of the
is
8 ball.
@ChunkLed or Chunkled, I suppose.
Chunkled. Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Chip
So-
Baloney. I think there's more coming possibly. But I mean, just that, we just love him. He's the greatest. And this is not someone who doesn't have a very heavy duty full-time job. He does. So you can tell, when you're working with pros because they can get multiple things done.
Yes.
So it's our absolute joy and pleasure. I laughed all day today. I just got to say, like,
It was
I
a lot
just
of laughing today.
a lot of
It's a good
laughing putting that little karaoke together. So
That was great.
it's been a joy to put this show together for you guys. I want to get to our last. Is there anything else? Any other announcement?
No, I just wanted to. I forgot
Shout out to
to
Chunkle.
give Chunk the props up front, and I apologize, but
Maybe we can even coax him to like show his face someday and tell
Ooh.
his name. I doubt it, but
I
we'll
don't
try.
know what he can
He's
say.
very
This,
much-
I guess.
He says he very much a real person, one of the loveliest men ever. All right, here we go. Our last topic. So it's the end of the season. We had our finale. And
They've been picked up. They've been picked up for
it's
season
been
2.
picked up. Yep.
Yeah.
Picked up for season 2. They're coming back in sweeps in September with very smart programming decision. And we've got a tease. So we wanted to sort of go through with you guys some of the things that we see think we're gonna learn more about. I already set one of them up about the women from Liz. So the first one is the women. So we've got Liz Cheney praising these young women left, right, throwing daggers at the dudes, the 40, 50, 60-year-old. What did she say? She went after them. Oh my God.
I
love her.
loved that. That was because I was sort of half paying attention to that point.
I
'cause it
needed
was
to
at the
be
end. I thought she
pro-choice,
was
but-
just. She goes.
Yeah.
She was.
She went there. I need to be pro-choice. and I
Women
needed to
are
be
brave, not like
pro-voter
the
rights.
50, 60, and 70-year-old men hiding behind
yeah.
executive privilege. It was like, holy shit!
Oh, yeah.
Wow!
Going
Oh my
for it.
God! It was
I'm
a
sick of these
bam.
dudes.
Wow.
They thought that they could swing their dicks and dominate Liz Cheney, and they don't understand she wants nothing to do with any of that, and it doesn't matter. She's a fucking Cheney. So goodbye to all of their careers. We now see how this woman plays. You're going to end up with a little spotlight on you, running for your life like a coward,
like Hawley,
like a Josh Hawley.
That's exactly right. She's gonna get you guys. She's coming for you.
I almost feel sorry for him. Nah.
We need a Terminator name for her, right? She is the Terminator, the Liznator.
Yeah.
All right. So I think there's a woman coming forward. I think there's something going on there that she's trying to cook up. That's my guess. The bomber, you guys, the bomber. We got to learn more about this bomber.
Because they mentioned it 3 or 4 times. And they had not really mentioned it, I don't think, that much.
There's a guy who did a thread with 100, I can't remember his name. Did you see this thread? He's a body language guy.
Jack Brown. Yeah. Is that his name?
Yeah. And I got totally obsessed with this thing. It was like 130 different things. Because if you think about it, like I said before, he was an hour late.
Yeah.
I mean, bear with me. So he was supposed to go on at 11. He spoke till he went on at 12. He spoke till 1:10 or 11. So he went on for an hour and 11 minutes. But he was the tail end was stretch. He was talking about the votes and the states.
Yeah.
And I really won. I mean, it was really like you were right about that.
They know how to produce TV, everybody, just in case you were missing it with Trump and Ivanka giving him on-site direction and changing the words of the script in real time like a showrunner does. They've just been producing a television show since the beginning of that presidency. That's all it was.
Can I tell you, I
so
filmed
the stretching at the end. He means to do
absolutely, and you could see it when they did the outtakes. There's somebody behind me. Did you see that?
Yeah.
There's a guy in the door. I filmed the
camera?
funeral. I filmed the funeral, Ivana's funeral. And I waited all day. It was 10,000 degrees out. And I get this one little place and I'm looking right through the trucks and I get this clear shot to it. I don't know if you have a picture of it, but he walks out and everybody was shocked with the whole mishpucha, all the wives and the ex-wives and all the children. They were all there. And he walks out and he stops at the top of it. Was like a stage wait, until they all got on the stair. And then he walked down. It was staged. I kept thinking they had to have gone to the church and rehearsed this. And it was so aware of and he waited for the cameras to take the pictures. And Melania's face didn't move. And it was a photo op. So he knows how to play them. And you're right. And the rallies are all a stage show. The same laughs, the same kick the guy out, the same interruptions, the same Mike Pence comes out and talks about the sanctity of life. And we're going to do the Supreme Court. Every single thing.
Mark Burnett taught them well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right.
He
So
knows
you were
the
going to say
good.
about the bomber. You were going to say about the bomber, Sandy.
Oh, so bear with me on this. So the bombs were discovered apparently at 12:40, and they were discovered around the same time. That was also weird, by just normal people who were walking by, which is
not
also
the
weird.
Secret Service, right?
No, and the Secret Service was Kamala Harris was in one of those buildings, right? So if they wanted the bombs to go off, they were supposed to go off at 1:00. They were timed to go off at 1. They found them 20 minutes before at 2:40. If they were to go off at 1:00, either he was just finishing his speech if he was going on time, which he never does, or he was still talking, which would have ended everything. They would have shut down DC if those bombs had gone off. So I think it's a MacGuffin. I don't think the bombs are ever supposed to go off.
You don't think they were ever supposed to go off?
No.
Okay.
Because they
Or
would have
if they
shut it
were
down.
to go off, it might have stopped the proceedings at the Capitol.
Should we explain what a MacGuffin is?
Oh.
Yeah, well, we're talking about a series, so please do. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it was the thing that Hitchcock put. You know what it is. Okay.
Yeah, a MacGuffin is like a thing that seems important, that kind of moves the plot along, but ultimately isn't important at all.
Right.
It's something that sort of
Hitchcock,
I think it's going to be very important.
put it in every
I
film.
actually think it's going to be very important whether it was intended to go off or not intended to go off. I'm very. This takes me to my third tease for season 2. We're going to learn a lot more about the Secret Service. This is ridiculous. I do think that those text messages are gone. I know there's people saying, no, they can get them from anywhere. maybe you can pick up the other side of it if there's congressional members or Senate members. I'm not sure. But I was listening to somebody
Unless
today
they're
say,
talking to Trump or something. I mean, unless they're
yeah,
talking to
right,
somebody,
Trump.
Rudy or
I think
Bannon.
this Tony Ornato character
Yeah.
is gonna really have his season to shine next season. I predict it now. It's gonna be like, you're our favorite show. Yes, go ahead. Greg,
The
go ahead.
episode is going to be called Tony Ornato and Don. Okay.
Tony Ornato and Don. Something's going on there. So I think we're gonna learn more. Then we have the National Guard, which Sandy just took us through. Sandy, I think we're gonna get into everything you just walked us through.
I hope so, man.
In greater detail in season 2. I think this is going to be a huge storyline. It's going to be a huge thread, and it's going to connect a lot of dots for us.
Twitter Pulitzer.
And then we have the colleagues. That Josh Hawley hit. That hit job. Look at the laughter, right? Look at what it evoked. Like she knew it was thought
They
was
all
mocking,
laughed in the room, yeah.
but they haven't talked about really. We got a little bit about Laudermilk, right? And his role in the tours, but they haven't really gone into. We haven't heard them kind of go. They've hinted at members of Congress and blah, blah, blah.
No, they're not going to go there.
And she teed up. Well, but Liz teed it up. She teed up Jim Jordan. He had his opportunity. Kevin McCarthy had his opportunity to put people. She is not done with her colleagues.
No.
She is not done with them. So watch out. I think
last night, you're right.
Saying Cruz. Yeah.
I think you're right. No, because I think that was a signal. There's Chuckles.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Cruz too. I think he's right. I think it's going to be Cruz.
Tuberville.
Because Cruz is the guy that.
Cruz. They all hate him.
Well, they went to his fucking desk. First of all, Cruz did a speech the day before. Remember this? He gave a speech. He had the fucking hat on and. Just trying to rile people up, and then people went to his desk and said, "Well, he's on our side. Where is he? We have to, he's in on it. He is. And more than all Hawley did was fist bump them.
No, Hawley held the floor. He was in on the. There was a plan.
No, he didn't give a speech the day before, though, did he?
Not the day before, but the day of. There were so many wrapped into this planning. That on the day of, they were sort of filibustering to a certain degree.
Oh yeah,
to buy the time.
Why was Marjorie Taylor Greene in that meeting in December, which I didn't know about? I don't think anybody knew about the meeting at the end of December in the Oval in the Trump's office. Why was she invited? She wasn't even sworn in yet. She's an op. She's an op.
Oh, whatever.
She's one of those explore talent.
Here's what we know. She is.
I'm not even going to say what I think.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Don't.
You're among friends. Nobody's listening. It's
so true. It's so true. We're just really having a private Zoom for the world.
Yeah, Bobert is explore talent.
Yeah. So listen,
for sure.
More to come, everybody. More to come. We're we're pleased to have been your Sherpas through this first season. We will be here for the second season. We'll hopefully set up some new secondary characters. I think, as always, we'll get stuff leaking into the news, and then we'll kind of figure out what the hearings are going to be structured like. And they will also set out, hopefully, something ahead of time saying these are our topics, right, that we're exploring. I think letting us know what each episode was really going to be about and having each episode have its own focus and its own leading characters and its own supporting characters and threading the storyline so that we have this full arc. Very smart. Very smart.
It's been so magnificently produced. I mean, I'm a producer, and they hired this young guy who I just started following on Twitter, Priz something or other, and he's he graduated from Tisch School of whatever, and he's a news producer. I think he's an ABC news producer. Nightline.
Adam Schiff was a screenwriter.
He was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, I like everything. I like the casting. We didn't mention Pottinger before we go. I want to just mention. Pottinger
he was kind of everybody hated him.
Well,
what do you think?
Gal Suburban had a good thread about him. He's bad. He's a Flynn guy. And when he started talking, and he was like, "I was proud of the things we did." My wife was like, "Why is he saying that? What a jerk!" And it was like, "Wow, You turned off
the foreign
everybody
policy, right?
immediately.
Proud of the foreign policy.
What foreign policy? And after listening to him talk for 15 minutes, it's like, we are really lucky that we didn't get in war with China, because this man is I do not trust. I wouldn't trust this guy to walk my fucking dog. I don't even have a dog. But
But look
What
at how important that is in a much broader sense of, there's not going to be any. Fox News has a choice. Do we play any clips from this? Do we show anything from this? Because it's our own people tearing down this our God, right? So it's coming from inside the temple. What do you do? So yes, it's abhorrent to us because we're not in that temple. Ugh, we don't want anything to do with that temple. But it's not abhorrent to the Fox News listeners. It's whispering them. Now he was a blowhard and blah blah blah, but so are they.
They like guys like that. Yeah, I get
They
it.
like that. They like that energy. So maybe there's more than one audience for this thing, which is a good thing.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
Did
agree.
you see Garland? Like they caught him off guard. He actually almost lost his temper.
Yeah,
Did you see him? How many times do I have to say that? That nobody's above the law.
That's
We'll
great.
see.
He did finally respond, which is what that's all that needs to happen. Just say the basic stuff. Yes, you have to say it, and you have to say it over and over and over and over again, because those are the times we're in. You cannot cede ground in the discourse to only the enemies of democracy. You can't cede ground to them. They're the same. It's the same group as a domestic terrorist. It's all one big monstrous thing over there that's trying to destroy us.
Yes.
And we need our institutions now to speak to us. It must come from the institutions. I don't want to hear any of this. They don't do that, or they've never done that. We're in a new time. No one's asking the Justice Department to disclose anything about an investigation. Talk to us about the indictments you've already had. Do what he just did in that impromptu presser, where he was like, it's the most important, significant federal investigation in the history of this nation. So,
and they're not going to, we don't know what they know.
Yeah. And we don't need to know what they know. We need them to constantly put it out there that that this thing is real, that this isn't fake, that January 6th wasn't a hoax, that there would we need it from them. The people the institution we used to rely on to bring that information forward so that the Justice Department could be quiet and no one questioned it and just put out their shitty press releases from their shitty fucking website. It's so 2002, the technology going on there, but whatever. Okay. It's a big bureaucracy. So this idea that that's all they have to do. And even though they give press conferences all the time, people have to understand this. You can go onto YouTube and look at endless press conferences out of the Justice Department for indictments, for new initiatives, for convictions that they've gotten from. They do it all the time. I don't want to hear this nonsense that they don't have a press room, that they don't have a communications director, that they don't have a podium. They have a whole fucking room just for them to go out and talk to the American people. So why we haven't heard once from our FBI director, not once.
Wow.
And it's not that I want him to tell us what his investigations are. You can talk about indictments. You can talk about the stuff you put in your fucking press releases, and you have to, because the institution that used to be relied upon to make sure that that was constantly in the discourse and always in front of the American people was the press, was the Fourth Estate, and they are not in this business anymore. They're in a completely different business. They're in a completely different business. So it needs to be the institutions themselves. You have a press room, you have a press podium, you have a communications director. Talk to us. Greg and I have been saying this from the beginning. Look at the difference it made. As soon as Garland did talk, and he didn't disclose or anything, he just spoke. Everybody backed off and was like, oh, I feel better now.
Yeah. He needs to do that every couple of weeks.
Every couple of weeks.
He could say the same fucking thing. It doesn't even
How did Chris Ray? Chris Ray is lying. I'm sorry. I brought my bump cap, my goggles, and it was the height of COVID, so we all wear a mask. And I can't wear a gas mask because I can't put the fucking thing on. I need assistance. But all my journalist friends wore bulletproof. That all the footage
Yeah.
you see from inside and with the fighting
They
and
were. They knew it was
they
going to be
were
violent
bulletproof
and
vests. They
dangerous.
knew had crash helmets.
Yeah.
With press on it.
Yeah.
How come he didn't know?
You
We
did
all
know
knew.
they're playing a game with semantics of the difference between intelligence, specific intelligence, and general knowledge or known facts. It's a game. It's a gamesmanship around what words are we going to lawyerly use. So I don't know how to have a Justice Department without lawyers, but boy, do they fuck shit up when it comes to it's just being straight with their language. So
Well, and the thing about Ray, you mentioned Chris Ray. It isn't just us that he's not talking to. I mean, when I had Sheldon Whitehouse on my show, like he didn't talk to the Senate. He doesn't even talk to the actual politicians in power. Like people don't know what's going on. So it is kind of it would be nice.
I'm an old hippie. We were right about the FBI and the Secret Service.
But the thing is,
we're right in the 60s, man.
The FBI is, just like the Trump people. It's not a monolith. There's lots of great people in the FBI. And
I was surprised actually at the number of decent people in Trump's administration. I was like really surprised at a couple of the people.
Remember, we kept hearing this. We kept hearing this from the Republican, the former Republican strategists, right? They would go on television all the time on the MSNBC, whatever crazy channel they wouldn't normally be caught dead on, and they'd say things like, "I know we're going long here, everybody." They'd say things like, "That's not what people say on the inside, and there's good people in there," and we're like, "What the? No one good is sticking around."
Right.
They were talking about these layers and layers and layers of staff, right? It still had to, even though it was a completely dysfunctional beer kegging White House crew that was recruited out of fucking Breitbart or 4chan for the most part. It was you still ended up with people who understood, no matter how young they were, that there was a job they were showing up to do and probably had tremendous workload just to get through the day. And but it's no excuses. We don't want to hear any of these excuses. It's good they're coming forward now. It would have been great if they came forward during the second impeachment. They're only compelled
when
to
there was nothing to lose. Nothing to lose at that time.
Yeah. But I don't want to bash our supporting characters and our guest stars for season 2.
It's fine for us to love and hate all of the characters. In fact, we should. That would make a good show.
It makes a good show.
Yeah.
But they have to stop a month before November 3rd, right? They have to stop a month before because they promised.
September. They're going to take us through September.
October surprise.
We'll see. Maybe the October surprise will be something we see live in a hearing. We'll see.
All right,
Greg Goliar.
I want to thank Sandi Bachom for joining us. Sandi, thank you so much.
Sandy.
Everybody go follow her. Everyone's watching this.
Follow me.
Everybody follows you, Sandy.
It's just your name.
I want 1 million followers.
Yeah,
like
Sandi Bachom.
And Sandy, you're going to let everybody know about your film, right? You're going to.
Well, it's up. It's in the Gods at the Film Festival's hands, right? If you know anybody in the film festival circuit,
well, just keep us updated on it.
It is what it is. I finished the film. It doesn't even matter. For me, at 78 in 2 months, I did. My son died on January 6th.
I know.
And it was like I had to do it for him. I had to do a thing. I had to finish a thing, which I'm so bad at. And I did it, and it was a personal best, and it was so hard. And I had these crises of this sucks. This is going to win the Oscar. I was like, woo! And I'm also an alcoholic, so I'm all over the charts. But I'm so grateful for this. I love this format, you guys. You're both so smart, and we need to keep talking about what we know. We need to keep airing it, what the truth is, and then do your own, like QAnon, do your own investigation.
Do your own research.
It's like the opposite of gaslighting,
Yeah.
We have to keep, Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
agree.
try.
Repeating
Yeah,
it
no, it's great.
is
I love
essential.
it. I
This
love
is
it.
a great format where we have 8 topics and we talk for 5 topics and we talk for 8 minutes each, and the show is 40 minutes long.
Is that
And
right? Oh,
it is
An
not.
hour and a half later. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you everybody for
We're giving
watching.
everybody a nice big,
Sandifa. I like this
hang on a second.
Sandifa thing. I'm
we're
gonna.
giving you a nice big stretch of time because we may
Okay.
not be here next week. I will not be here
Okay.
next week. I forgot to say that in the
Oh
announcement.
yeah. That should be
Yeah,
an
yeah.
announcement.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll see about next week, and then but we'll be back the week after that for sure.
Okay. All right.
And
Love you guys.
yeah, this has been a particularly good comment section. It's always good. Tonight was particularly good. Thank you, everybody.
Sandifa. I like that, you guys. Thank
Sandifa,
you.
it was great. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a great weekend. Have a great week. And this was a good couple of days.
Yeah.
For democracy, man.
Yeah.
It really
yeah.
was.
It was.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Love you.
Bye-bye.